What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new edition of the MEAC More here on the HBCU Sports Podcast Network. Of course, I am Chris Stevens, the host and producer of the MEAC More. Hopefully, you guys are having a good week so far. We only got 2 more days until we get some really good football, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some basketball. We're going to talk about a lot. So before we get started, as usual, the MEAC More is sponsored by Rock Solid Contracting and Development. Rock Solid Contracting out of Wilmington, Delaware provides all your construction, demolition, and remediation needs. If you need something built, they can do it. If you need something torn down, they can do it. And shouts out to Norman Oliver, a Delaware State alum who has graciously sponsored this program throughout the duration of the year. So we want to thank Norman and Rock Solid Contracting for sponsoring the MEAC More. And we greatly appreciate him as usual. All right. So we're going to get started with our usual MEAC More players of the week. Of course, what that means is, no, that's not it. That's not it either. Neither is that. There it is. Okay. The MEAC More. Money players for week 11, which of course is more money for their teammates, more problems for the opponents. And what a week this gentleman had right here. Good Lord. Jared Washington, senior defensive back from South Carolina State, in the 42-12 win over Howard. He had a 27-yard pick six and a 56-yard blocked field goal return for a touchdown. He earned all the honors this week. He was the MEAC Defensive Player of the Week and the Stats Perform FCS National Defensive Player of the Week. That's a pretty nice little – what's not showing, Ken? Okay, am I missing something here? Let's try again. All right. Oh, he says the graphic isn't showing. You guys can't see the graphic? Let me know, because I swore I uploaded everything. As a matter of fact, I got it right sitting here in the queue. Technology. Okay. All right. So there it is. Jared Washington, senior defensive back from South Carolina State. 27-yard pick six against Howard, 56-yard blocked field goal return for a touchdown. He earned the MEAC Defensive Player of the Week award and the Stats Perform FCS National Defensive Player of the Week. Really nice week for that young man. And he's going to need it again because he's going to be up against this young fella. That, of course, is Walker Harris of North Carolina Central. He completed 24 of 39 for 265 yards and 3 passing touchdowns in the Eagles' win over Norfolk State 31-28. Once again, another MEAC Offensive Player of the Week for Mr. Harris. I think it's a foregone conclusion by now that he is going to be the MEAC Offensive Player of the Year unless, there's some shadiness in the vote. Let's just be honest. Walker Harris is the best offensive player in the MEAC, one of the best black college quarterbacks in the country, and he's done that all year long. And last but certainly not least, I definitely want to give this young man his props. Eric Hunter, the senior linebacker from Morgan State, he almost single-handedly beat Delaware State last Friday night by himself. 8 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and this is from a kid who missed most of last year with an arm injury, has come back like gangbusters. And as Jay Skywalker said on the broadcast Friday night, he has all the intangibles that NFL scouts salivate over as far as linebackers go. So I really hope this young fella gets his shot because he is deserving. He's absolutely one of the best defensive players in black college football. I mean, it doesn't help. I mean, it hurts that Morgan State is not having a really good year, but I do believe that Eric Hunter is one of the best defensive players in the country, HBCU, FCS, NCAA, FBS, whatever. And he definitely had me scared for my life as the Delaware State observer last Friday night. So those are your MEAC More money players for week 11. But before we get to the MEAC schedule, I did want to share this clip from the always outspoken North Carolina A&T head coach, Sean Gibbs. Someone asked him in his weekly press conference about recruiting, and here's what he had to say.
Very short window to get guys in, get them evaluated, bring them on visits, and try to get them into class. So, that's going to be extremely, extremely difficult. But I think we'll manage it. But, like I said, my thing is I still want to build this program on the backs of developing high school players. And then we got to find the right pieces in the portal that are going to fit us. The hard part is being able to evaluate these guys. Because what I'm not going to do, and let me look in the camera when I say this, I know there's a whole lot of coaches out there that's doing that right now. I'm not going to be calling kids that are not in the portal and trying to poach other people's players or have my GAs call our guys and ask them how much it's going to take. I'm not doing all that. We're going to do things the right way. So when it opens, we got to do a great job, and we got to do it very fast and evaluating these guys and trying to get as much background information as we can on them, then getting them set up for visits. So it's going to be new, but it's not only new for us, it's new for everybody. So I'm excited about it.
Well, Sean Gibbs, he's one of the more outspoken coaches in this profession, and especially in the HBCU space. And he looked into the camera. I mean, he looked into the camera like, yeah, I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to you. Like you, him, her, and that over there. It's like, oh wow. So apparently this new portal, if you guys are not familiar, the portal has been shrunken drastically. It's supposed to go from January 4th to January 16th for football. So that means you have what, 8 or 9 business days to really make your intentions known if you're a player, and hit that recruiting trail hard if you are a coach or recruiter. So I found that very interesting that Coach Gibbs says we're going to do this the right way. And I applaud him for that stance. But I do wonder how many coaches are going to fall victim, or just fall victim to the fact that this is a dirty game. Recruiting has always been a dirty game. One of my favorite stories, in fact, there's a new book out about this gentleman, the late, great Moses Malone, and his recruiting war back when he was a high school senior playing basketball in Petersburg, Virginia. It was some nasty business. Like, people literally would buy his mother cars and television sets to get, and mind you, TV. They're not cheap now, to be honest with you. Even the flat screens. I mean, the smart TV I got in my living room is still $100. Maybe I'm just cheap. I don't know. But back when people were trying to get Moses Malone to play college basketball, like, there would be all sorts of gifts showing up to the Malone family household, and coaches and recruiters stabbing each other in the back for the chance to get this kid at their university. Of course, Moses said, "Why do I need college? I can get paid playing professionally." He went to the Utah Stars, to the ABA, and then had a distinguished 21-year career between the ABA and the NBA. Helped my Sixers win their last championship in '83 against Ken Rashad's Lakers, by the way. Just want to point that out. But the point is, recruiting, regardless of the sport, has always been filthy. And that's not going to change. That absolutely is not going to change. I don't care if you shrink the portal. I don't care if you put a salary cap on NIL. People will find a way. It's like the old saying goes, I'll either find a way or I'll make one. So I get what Coach Gibbs is saying, and I applaud his stance, but he's going to be playing a righteous man's game. He's going to be playing a dirty game. Like, I know for a fact that there are schools that are circling Delaware State right about now. Absolutely. And we're talking players, we're talking coaches. I mean, this is not college sports. The NCAA has finally taken the mask off. They finally said, okay, we make money. So now you're not going to get this moral fiber of, oh, he just took this player from me, or this coach is, calling my kids. I mean, I get it, but everybody's going to be doing it now. It's like you go to you go to a party and to say, oh, now you can eat the hors d'oeuvres. Nah, people going to be picking their hands in the hors d'oeuvres. Is what it is. And for Sean Gibbs to say that, it's letting, I do like the fact that he's letting he's not only putting coaches on notice, but he's putting the circle of people who like leech off of these college kids, these high school kids and their families on notice too. And I think those people are honestly worse than the coaches, because they're always looking for an edge. Like, I've told you guys about how a lot of Delaware athletes, black athletes, around them telling them that Delaware State is bad news. And maybe as a Delaware State alum, I'm incredibly sensitive to that, because I went to the school. I graduated from there proudly, and I'm happy to say the football team is decent again. Thank goodness. But I'm just really irritated at people who probably never played college sports, never been to college, or were there for like 15 minutes, and now they think they know the whole game. And these parents who don't know the game have entrusted their kids' welfare and future to these leeches. I don't know why you need a third person to tell your kid or to let your kid make a decision about college. That ain't mom, that ain't dad. Coach, I get. Athletic director, I get. Guidance counselor, I get. Anybody within the school context, I absolutely get it. I absolutely get it. But for some random behind person to just pop up and say, "Oh wow, I know what's best for your kid. Follow me." For what? For what? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I like this point, Brandon Cyrus. We need to treat recruiting like the drug game in the 90s. Super harsh penalties. Now, let's be careful about that. Let's be careful about that. Because that crime bill, that crime bill was kind of and listen, I grew up in a city. I mean, people don't think of Wilmington, Delaware as dangerous, but in the middle of the 90s, it got to be incredibly dangerous. I mean, it ain't so safe nowadays, honestly. But let's be mindful of how we characterize the crime bill as like a cure-all, because it wasn't. All it did was just give cops more, leeway to abuse and harshly lock up and unjustly lock up, people in communities of color. I mean, I get it. I mean, there were some grimy drug dealers out there. I mean, you got your Rayful Edmonds and and AP, AZ and Alpo and all of those folks. I get it, but that's just my personal opinion. The crime bill is just like, let's not reference that. But however, the point Brandon is making, I get it, because a lot of these coaches and these bag men, as Brandon calls them, it's a filthy game. It's absolutely a filthy game, and you can't really play the role of Jesus Christ among a whole bunch of Pontius Pilates. Not gonna work. Not gonna work. So I understand where Sean Gibbs is coming from. I'm not going to dissuade the man from his opinion or how he's going to do business, because I think it'll work. Because A&T, he went on to say later on in that press conference that I clipped from, that A&T is going to sell itself, and it does. I went to North Carolina A&T's campus when I was 16. I went on a college tour, HBCU tour up and down the South. A&T was still one of my favorite campuses that I visited, and that was 27 years ago. So, I mean, I'm not going to front. I mean, the campus was great in 1998. Imagine what it looks like in 2025. And you got to remember that our kids, they like to see things that, will appeal to them. And I don't mean to sound sexist or anything like that, but you put a bunch of black boys around a bunch of beautiful black girls there to get an education. That's going to be something that helps. I know it helped me get to Delaware State. I ain't going to lie to you. My dream school was Hampton originally. You guys are probably going to be surprised to know this, but yes, my dream school was Hampton. I went to Hampton on that same tour, and I did not want to leave. I did not want to leave. And I wasn't even an athlete. I was just a regular old student. But but recruiting at HBCUs is always going to be it's always going to be something special. And you got to hope that you appeal to the community in that child, that, they see that, okay, I grew up around black people doing big things. Now I get to be amongst my peers and be a part of a change in a new generation of black people doing big things. So, Dave says it's way nicer now. As somebody who went there between 2000 and 2004, they got robots delivering the food to the students. Listen, if Delaware State students ever get robots, I'll be jealous. I mean, bad enough. I mean, it's bad enough they actually got a Chick-fil-A on campus now. For those of you who are not familiar with Dover, Delaware, Delaware State is divided. Well, Delaware State is on one side of Route 13, and now there's a Chick-fil-A on that side of the street, but there's a Chick-fil-A on campus too. So if you like your chicken, Delaware State, Dover's got you covered. But there was a time when the only Chick-fil-A in Dover was across Route 13 at Dover Mall. And Route 13 is busy no matter what time of day it is. I don't care if it's 5 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at lunchtime, 7 o'clock at night. So you basically playing Russian roulette with your life, trying to cross Route 13 to get to Dover Mall. Now these kids ain't even got to do that for some Chick-fil-A. I'm glad for them. I'm glad my money went to a good place. But damn, couldn't they have done this like 25 years earlier when I was there? Good God Almighty. I digress. But yeah, and Brandon says that's how A&T got me. Got off the bus for a college tour and was sold ever since. Yeah, I mean, the HBCU was always going to be part of the plan for me. I mean, that was something my mother drilled in my head. And it just happened that, I had a rough senior year. I kind of lingered around for a year and a half, didn't know what I was going to do in my life. I took the longest gap year ever. I did go to community college, take some classes, but between 1999 and 2001, I was just gap year. I was gap year Chris. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. Then I did an essay in one of my classes, and my community college, the professor in the class at the time, she had 100 with like all these, these glowing reviews of the paper, and she dropped this big ass book in my lap. Like it hurt. Like boom, ow. She said, "You're not an office management major. You're a sports writer." And it was the Great American Book of Sports Writing. So I applied to Delaware State, got accepted. I was on my way. So to get to the other side, absolutely. Because if you didn't make it to the other side, God bless. God bless. But yeah. Recruiting at HBCUs is always, you got to sell the finer points. You got to sell the fact that you'll be around your own folks. You got to sell the fact that people who have been where you are and have ascended to be professors and deans and provosts and all of that other stuff, they'll be mentoring you, they'll be shepherding you to adulthood. And then of course, just the campus life, like, you get off the bus. I mean, you see girls that are just like from different areas of the country. Like, I never forget a friend of mine who passed away a couple years ago, a guy by the name of Tyrone McCandies. He worked at Howard. He went to Howard and he worked at Howard, in sports information. And, whenever I would go to Howard, he would go out of his way to introduce me to girls because he was just like, "Man, you too quiet. You need to go, shoot your shots." And I'm like, "Man, I'm just here to work." And never forget, I met a girl who was working in the Green Stadium press box from Denver, Colorado. I did not know Black people lived in Denver, Colorado. So it was like, damn, you meet a whole new class of people at HBCUs that are your people. So I think that's something that, these schools are going to have to play up. I mean, yeah, sell the education, sell the football, sell the football and basketball program, sell whatever athletic program you're recruiting, but sell these kids on the experience, because that's what makes our schools great. The entire experience. Like, it's cool to be an athlete. It's cool to be a scholar, but you get to let your hair down at Black. Oh, I ain't got no hair to let down, but you get to let your hair down at Black colleges, at HBCUs. And I think that's something that a lot of our schools need to start selling a lot more now, especially since these white folks have drawn the line in the sand that they never liked Black people in the first place, that they've just been using us for funding and, to check a diversity check mark that they don't even believe in. So now this is where our HBCUs can really just sort of like, fill in the gaps. Hopefully that's what we do. But yeah, shouts out to Sean Gibbs for giving me 20 minutes of, well, not 20 minutes, but closer to about 15 minutes of stuff to talk about before we get to the main thing. As Jalen Hurts likes to say, we're going to keep the main thing. And the main thing is we are going to discuss last week's MEAC schedule, if I may. Wrong one. Okay, there it is. No, that's last week's. No, that's this week's. Hold on, y'all. I apologize. It won't let me add it to the stage. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Okay, all right. We'll just skip it, man. It's not that big of a whoop. All right, so just to talk about last week's MEAC games, I think what we learned about Delaware State last week is that as much as exciting as this season has been, they're still, learning how to win. And yes, they got away with it. I mean, they got away with murder Friday night. Like literally, I literally could not watch that kick. Like I was literally in front of my TV praying, like, God, please, please let a wind, let a slight breeze or something come through. And sure enough, the young man hooked the kick right because he's a left-footed kicker. Kicking left-footed from the right hash, I imagine, is not easy. And I remember what Jay Walker said on the broadcast: you always want to miss to whatever your strong foot is. So I think the young man, I mean, Alex Amaya, I mean, he had a pretty good game. I mean, he had some good kickoffs. He made a 44-yarder earlier in the game. So it wasn't like that was out of his range. He just hooked it. And that's something, as a freshman kicker, you're going to learn to be better at as you get older, as you get more reps. But Morgan State almost did what I expected Howard was going to do, or what I'm scared that South Carolina State was going to do. They made Delaware State regress back to 2023 and 2024. Like that was the worst game I've seen Delaware State play all year, easily. And a lot of that is because Morgan State just has a dominant defense. Like I said earlier, Eric Hunter was phenomenal. They had a couple of other kids had great plays and, interceptions and sacks and different things of that nature. So I don't think Morgan State is that far away from getting this whole thing figured out. They got a quarterback now. Ray Moore III, he's a freshman. He's going to learn, but he's got the physical tools. He's tall. He probably needs to put on 25, 30 pounds of muscle. But other than that, he's got the arm. He's got the legs. He's got the never say die attitude, because you put a redshirt freshman quarterback against one of the top defenses in the conference, and you're asking him to get a minimum of 50 yards to get in the field goal range. And he did it. He did it. So I think Damon Wilson finally has the tools. He finally has somebody to build an offense around at quarterback. Now, you got to hope that Jason Collins Jr. comes back healthy next year. You learned that Randall Naughton, your freshman running back, he's really good. They got a couple of receivers. I think they need bigger receivers. You need a dude that's like 6'2", 6'3" out there on the edge to be able to go up and just bully ball somebody, like, get out of my way, little guy. This is my football. I think that's what Morgan State needs. A couple of those, big receivers, those Debo type receivers. I mean, or you can just move a kid from tight end out to wide receiver. That's what you want to do. I mean, but yeah, overall, that game scared the bejesus out of me Friday night. Like literally, I went to bed a couple hours later, my heart was still racing. I was like, man, this ain't fair. But that's the MEAC. I mean, and I asked Larry Scott and Trey Oliver about that in the MEAC presser this week, and Larry Scott basically said, if anybody has anything negative to say about MEAC football, they ain't watching. And Trey Oliver said, I want to know who these people are. I mean, I couldn't tell him because, it's just a bunch of random folks who are determined to talk down on HBCUs and the MEAC as a whole. But that game, let me know that Delaware State still has a lot of learning to do. Learning that one of our starting offensive linemen was out, because of injury. And of course, Isaiah Cook got ejected, in the Norfolk State game. And he was only supposed to sit out the first half, but because he got ejected in the second half, they made him sit out the whole game. So it's like, yeah, that hurt. But Isaiah Cook is going to be back this week, so that helps. The other lineman, he was in a boot. I don't think he's coming back this year. So it's a war of football is a war of attrition. That's why you have 100 guys on a roster. It's got to be the next man up. So Delaware State was able to survive. Central had to weather a quick little Norfolk State rally on the shoulders of sophomore quarterback Vincent Berry, who threw a couple touchdowns late for the Spartans. And I think Michael Vick, this is a point in the season. We didn't get to talk to Coach Vick this week because he missed the presser for unforeseen circumstances, as the MEAC called it. But I think, with this Berry kid, he has something that he can at least go into the offseason knowing that he's got at least one quarterback on the roster. Because, of course, Otto Coons is going to graduate. He's going to be done after this year. So either you can ride with the Berry kid. Excuse me. Oh, wow. I don't know what's wrong with my throat. You can ride with the Berry kid, or you can go recruit somebody. So, I mean, but you got somebody at least who can serve as a serviceable backup, or maybe you can tutor him to become your starter. Shouts out to Zoe Phillips, 1400 from Jackson State checking in. He says, Morgan needs a multitude of offensive players and another OC. I won't argue with you there. And I know. I mean, again, I don't question Damon Wilson. I mean, this is a dude who won at Bowie State, won at Bowie State, like got them to the next level of the Division II playoffs. Won. So I'm not gonna question his decision making in the least. But I think he probably does need to reach out and see what kind of offensive coordinator he can get on the market that can best tailor a game plan to the athletes that Morgan State has or the athletes that he and his recruiting staff can go and get. Because, I mean, with Ray Moore III, you don't want to waste this kid. 6'4", 180 pounds. Like I said, he probably needs to put on 20 or 30 pounds. Strong arm, quick legs, has a an innate sense of, he has a 6 football sense that I watched because he avoided quite a few sacks on Friday night. So he got grabbed up a couple of times, fumbled once, but Delaware State had a hard time keeping their hands on him. So you got a quarterback. That's what any offense needs to get started. So now you get some beef up front. You find yourself 7 or 8 guys that are 6'2", 6'3", 285 to 320, with good footwork and strong arms to just say, you ain't gonna do this here. Not today. That's what you need. And of course, you need your skill position players. So I'm not Dr. Wilson. I'm not the athletic director, but I don't think Damon Wilson should be in any danger at all. I mean, people have been talking about that, and I'm just like, I can't buy that at all. If Morgan can lock down the Delmarva region for skills players, they could dominate. Yeah. I mean, when you look at where Morgan and Howard are located, like, you are literally in the middle of football heaven. Because I worked in Maryland as a sports reporter from 2007, 2011. And I saw WCAC football. I saw PG. I saw Anne Arundel. I saw Baltimore City. I saw Baltimore County. I mean, my area was Southern Maryland, but when the playoffs came around, that's when I started to see a lot more of everybody else around the state. You can get kids from Maryland, absolutely. You can get kids from DC too. Northern Virginia, some 757. Delaware kids are going to be hard to get because, again, for some strange reason, everybody in the first state has negative views about HBCUs, which is really annoying. But yeah, I think Morgan, if they really just sell the camp, that's another school where they have a beautiful campus, and a lot of money coming in. I mean, Mackenzie Scott, boy, she dropping bags on HBCUs, ain't she? I never forget because I asked just in random on Twitter, I was like, how much money does this woman have? I mean, like, every other week, it's like an HBCU getting 8 figures. 8. We can't even get 8 figures in funding from our state governments. And here's Mackenzie Scott saying, here you guys go. Let me give you 50. Let me give you 25. Let me give you 30 million. Let me give you 40 million. I'm like, where's the money coming from? And a colleague of mine was like, she won $38 billion in the divorce. I was like, oh. So this is chump change for her. But I'm glad she's spending her chump change on HBCUs. Very happy. Like, I don't care. Yeah, you always want to be mindful of where your money comes from because never forget, a lot of HBCUs were left with some hand wringing after the Bill Cosby shenanigans came out. But yeah, Mackenzie Scott is just dropping bags. And I'm glad our schools are benefiting from it. Shouts out to A&T Roy for checking in. Fresh off of men's basketball, 85-62 drubbing of South Carolina State. That A&T squad already looks better one or two games into the season than they looked all of last year. That's because Monty Ross is coaching. And Monty Ross, I had a chance to watch him coach in the University of Delaware. Like, this is a brother who can flat out coach. So I'm not surprised. So I think, I'm not picking A&T to win the Coastal, but I think they'll be a lot better than they were last year. Because last year probably couldn't get no worse for that team. They looked awful. But yeah, on to the other games from last week. Central had to sweat that out against Norfolk State, but I think they'll be ready for South Carolina State. I hate the way the game has been scheduled. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And of course, South Carolina State put the beats to Howard. I think they learned from that Morgan State fourth quarter. They said, oh, whoa, we got to pay attention for the full 60 minutes. Because Morgan State almost made that game a lot more heart-stopping than they needed to be. And again, this is credit to Ray Moore III. That kid just has no quit in him. And Morgan State came back from 26 down to get within a single possession. It was down to an onside kick. South Carolina State was lucky they recovered that thing. But yeah, I don't think that. I think what's left. I think what's left for Howard is only to play spoiler. And I mean, Delaware State is a team that can be had. I mean, I love my Hornets. I mean, I'm proud of the way this team has played this year. But for one, they have not had a home game in a month. That's number one. Number two, they banged up. Number three, that pass defense still gives me agita. So if Tyreek Starks can sling it a little bit, that's going to be an uncomfortable situation in Dover on Saturday. Hopefully, I can get down there and cover that one for us. And yeah, the game of the week obviously is going to be South Carolina State versus North Carolina Central in Durham on a Friday at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock on a Friday in one of North Carolina's biggest cities. And if you've been to North Carolina Central, if you've been to Durham, if you've been to that campus, it's a beautiful campus, but it's a lot of twists and turns you got to go to get there. So I don't know why ESPN decided to move this game to 5 o'clock of all times, but on a Friday. I just hope there's enough people in the stands. We haven't talked enough about this, by the way. Due to the Disney and Google beef, I have to watch the game from ESPN updates. So here's where the SWAC has done it again. Charles McClellan, you genius. The commissioner that you are, my guy. Because now, who gives a flying fajita taco if you're a SWAC TV? Well, you don't even, you should subscribe to SWAC TV. But if you can get the SWAC TV app, you can watch some SWAC football. You know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, Ken is still very incensed. Like, Ken has been talking about this in our work chat nonstop. And I don't blame him. Because it's ridiculous. Because ESPN is really just trying to, bully Google into either giving up some more, money or forcing everybody to pay for that $30 bundle that ESPN has. And I'm going to tell you, like the great Martin Payne said, I ain't paying the $5. I'm not paying the $5. I refuse. I've missed every ESPN every WWE PLE, but that's premium live event. If you're an old school WWE fan, you know they used to be called pay-per-views, but now they're calling them premium live events. I ain't paying $30 for a PLE, one PLE a month. I'm not. I refuse. So ESPN gonna have to either come down on the price or I just won't watch as much WWE as I used to. And I kind of miss it because I've been watching it since I was 6 years old, but I'm not paying $30 a month for ESPN. I'm not. My little ESPN Plus plan to $12.99 a month. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. So yeah. Ryan Bunn, he says, I'm taking off work for this one Friday. We owe South Carolina State. Yeah, that game last year, we did a live stream of that. Should we do a live stream for that one tomorrow? Ken? Should we do a live stream for that game tomorrow, Friday? Let me know. Because I'll be available, damn it. I mean, I'm here at the house all day. I work from home, so I got time. But yeah, that's going to be a good one. And there's so much on the line, too. Because here's the breakdown. If Central is able to beat South Carolina State, and then South Carolina State is able to beat Delaware State on the last day of the season, that means North Carolina Central is going to Atlanta. So this game has serious Celebration Bowl implications. Either North Carolina Central stays alive, or it's South Carolina State versus Delaware State on the last day of the season for the championship. So this is a big one. As Don Cornelius used to say, it's a big one, and everybody's showing up digging. It's going to be a fun one. And for that game, the matchup I'm really interested in seeing is how Central's defense matches up against Billy Atkins, because this kid has come from James Madison and just thrown the football all over creation. Like at first it was Chennis Berry was splitting the reps between Billy Atkins and Ryan Stubblefield, but after But in the last few weeks, it's been all Billy Atkins all the time. And he looks like a pro quarterback. I mean, in the MEAC, it's not hard to look like a pro quarterback, but he still looked like a pro quarterback. And it's like, wow, the rich get richer. That's basically what it boils down to. The rich get richer. And, you know, A&T has one of the best pass defense. I mean, Central, God darn it, Central has one of the best pass defenses in the country. So this is what Gorilla Monsoon used to call the irresistible force meets the immovable object. Can Billy Atkins and that crew of receivers, you know, wear down that South Carolina State defensive, that North Carolina Central defensive backfield? And can Central's front seven get a push on that beefy South Carolina State offensive line? That's the matchup to watch. Because they're both going to run the ball. We know they both can run the ball at will. Only thing is that Chris Mosley has been hurt for Central. Trey Oliver said he wasn't sure he was going to play this week. So that means that you'll probably see a lot of A.J. Rogers. He's like Jerome Bettis to Chris Mosley's, I guess you'd say Willie Parker, you know, somewhere thereabouts for you Steelers fans. So, this is going to be a good one. I mean, again, this is for so much. If Central wins this game, then the MEAC is chaos for another year. If South Carolina State wins, then it's as simple as this. South Carolina State at Delaware State, November 22nd for the MEAC championship. It's that simple. And that's even if Delaware State loses to Howard this coming Saturday, even though I don't see that happening. So there's a lot riding on the games this week. If you are not tuned in, I feel sorry for you because the MEAC plays some good football. I'll always go to bat for the MEAC. That's why Ken Rashad said, "You want a MEAC podcast?" I said, yes. And so I love talking about this conference. I do. And I think the biggest thing to take away from, shouts out to A&T Roy and the Blue Jay 3000. We got South Carolina State, North Carolina A&T beef in the chat. And quarterback Billy Atkins, we trust. 20th MEAC championship. Yep, that's the most of anybody. The 19 they got already is the most of anybody. So I feel like, you know, Billy Atkins, you know, I'm just so mad because I was so ready for Delaware State to kind of walk away with this thing, but here comes Billy Atkins, and I know he's, you know, his name on the website is William Atkins IV, but if they call him Billy, then damn it, we're gonna call him Billy. And yeah, he just looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I mean, Walker Harris has done the work all year long, but Chennis Berry finally took the reins off of Billy Atkins a few weeks ago, and South Carolina State's offense has just been like going and going and going and going, and it's like, doggone it, we can't get rid of South Carolina State. Like, it's so funny because there have been times when, you know, there have been other teams to step up when teams leave. Like when Hampton left, a lot of people were happy Hampton left. When A&T left, everybody was like, hallelujah, because Rod Broadway and Sam Washington were winning MEAC championships hand over fist. It was like, you know, they was just handing them off to each other. It's like, damn, can somebody else win the MEAC? Now all of a sudden, here comes Trey Oliver. Yeah, back in North Carolina Central, replacing Jerry Mack. And Trey Oliver wins the Celebration Bowl. Buddy Pugh wins the Celebration Bowl. Chennis Berry gets to a Celebration Bowl. And it's like, damn, these Carolina schools, I'll be glad when they go to the SoCon. But no, because that would be the end of the MEAC if they left. So I take that back. But yeah, South Carolina State, man, they are the gold standard for MEAC football. No doubt about it. When you look back, you know, during the Willie Jeffries era, of the late Bill Davis, Buddy Pugh, and now Chennis Berry, each of those coaches, 4 of them, over the course of 50 years, have all won MEAC championships. Multiple for Davis, multiple for Pugh, multiple for Jeffries, and if Berry wins, this will be multiple for him, 2 in 2 years. So South Carolina State, I think they're like a hidden gem, respectively, for the HBCU space as a whole. But as a football program, they're one of the gold standards. When you think about HBCU football, you think of Jackson State, you think of Grambling, you think of Southern, you think of FAMU, you think of A&T, you think of Morgan State once upon a time. It was a long time ago, but you think about Morgan State. And of course, people are just like, oh, wow, South Carolina State, they won 19 MEAC championships. And it's like, you can't get rid of them. South Carolina State is like the Undertaker. Like whenever you thought somebody had the Undertaker down, hit him with a steel chair. Somebody runs interference. They start banking him. They start ganging up on the Undertaker. The Undertaker lays there. You think the Undertaker's dead. It's over. They finally killed the dead man. And then the dead man just sits up. South Carolina State is the Undertaker of the MEAC. You can't kill him. You just can't kill him. And I don't think there's a Brock Lesnar coming along. If Delaware State is going to play Brock Lesnar and mess up the streak, then they got a lot more work to do. And I would love for Delaware State to complete this amazing story of being probably one of the worst FCS programs in recent years to go into the Celebration Bowl. It would be a dream come true. I'd have to find a way to Atlanta to see it. But I'm not going to discount what South Carolina State has done this year or in their history. They the last one standing. They the real McCoy. A&T's gone. FAMU's gone. Bethune-Cookman's gone. Hampton's gone. South Carolina State is the oldest MEAC program, along with DSU, along with Morgan, along with Del State. UMES canceled football in the late 70s, early 80s. So we don't even need to, but those are the ones who stuck around the MEAC the entire time. UMES left the MEAC once upon a time. So did Morgan State too. So yeah, I think South Carolina State, Howard, and Delaware State are the only ones who've been here the entire 55 years. And South Carolina State has won in every single decade. The 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, the teens, the 20s. There's nothing more you can say about that program other than they are the standard in the MEAC. And it looks like they're going to do it again unless Delaware State has one incredible effort on the 22nd. And yes, people are probably saying, but Chris, you're a Delaware State alum. You're supposed to have pride in your school. You're supposed to have confidence. I do. But I also understand that South Carolina State ain't no joke. This is it's kind of like walking in. It's kind of like Trevor Burbick when he was walking in against a 19, 20-year-old Mike Tyson that first time. Like Trevor Burbick was confident until them first couple jabs came in, and then that man was dancing all over the ring doing the Charleston. I'm not discounting South Carolina State. I refuse. You would have to pay me an inordinate amount of money to bet against South Carolina State. I can't do it. That dog just won't hunt around these parts. But yeah, so we're down to the last 2 weeks of MEAC football, and this is going to be probably the most pivotal one of all, because you've got to, and we didn't talk about the Morgan State, Norfolk State game because, well, we can talk about it, but I think this is more of an evaluation process for, Coach Wilson and Michael Vick. I do. Because I asked Coach Wilson, I was like, what goes into your process about, evaluating players at this stretch of the season? And he told me, he was like, well, we're going to play who's going to play. I mean, seniors, we're going to give them this last taste of college football. We've seen what the underclassmen can do. So I think for Damon Wilson's approach, he's just going to let guys play and figure it out. And I think Michael Vick needs to do the same, because Damon Wilson already knows what his kind of player is that he wants at Morgan State. I think Michael Vick needs to figure out what type of player is a Michael Vick football player. What type of player is a Michael Vick Norfolk State player? That is going to be the important part. That is the important part. So I think that this weekend is going to be big. Even the Morgan State Norfolk State game is interesting, because can Norfolk State get that first Division I win for Michael Vick, that first MEAC win? Can Morgan State get back on the right track, to kind of finish the season strong a little bit? Because who does Morgan State play last week? They play Central. Never mind. Yeah, that's going to be kind of tough. Can Delaware State overcome Howard? Because they have not beat Howard in, 7 or 8 years? It's been a while. It's been a good while. Can North Carolina Central, I always say A&T. God, the Eagle folks are going to beat my behind. I need to relax. Can North Carolina Central get revenge on South Carolina State? Or is South Carolina State just going to keep buzzing into Dover next week? Those are the questions. And we'll have some answers by Saturday at about 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm glad we're in the part of the season where a lot of the Southern schools are starting to play their games a lot earlier now. Because goodness gracious, sitting watching games. I mean, and I love what we do here, but Saturday night, 7, 8 o'clock, I need to be winding down because I'm old. I'm 44. Yes, I go to bed early on Saturday nights. I'm not a party animal. I would love to be, but these games be going too long for me, man. I be trying to not lay down on my couch because if I lay down on my couch, it's over. I know I'm gonna wake up like if I lay down on my couch at like 6, 7 o'clock, I know I'm gonna wake up 11 or midnight. Like, what the heck just happened? That's where I am in my life right now. That's a fun stage. Unscheduled naps are the fun stage of adulthood, to be quite honest with you. Because sometimes you just lay down, you just rest for a minute, then you open your eyes. The next thing you know, you've been asleep for about 2 or 3 hours, and it's like, wow, did that really just happen? It did. It absolutely did. Yeah. But I think that covers it for this week in the MEAC More. We can do more basketball stuff next week because, I did want to talk about let me talk about Howard's women real quick. They're 3-0. And they beat George Washington. Or is it George Washington or George Mason? One of the Georges. One of the Georges went down to Howard 62-60. I don't think there's going to be a MEAC women's basketball team that has anything for Howard this year. I don't. And that's not to say Jermaine Woods hasn't done a good job of recruiting at Norfolk State, taking Larry Vickers' place. That's not to say that UMES can't be good. That's not to say Central can't be good. But Ty Grace has done a phenomenal job recruiting at Howard, And if they're beating mid-major PWIs already, MEAC ain't got no shot. I mean, I say this now. I mean, what is this? This is November 12th. So keep the tape. Keep this tape. I don't think Howard loses a MEAC game this year in women's basketball. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think this is going to be one of the best teams Ty Grace has put on the floor, one of the best teams the MEAC women's division has ever seen, and they better get something higher than a freaking 15 seed. Yes, I'm saying this on November 12th. February 28th or March 12th or whenever, could be a whole different ballgame. But for now, this Howard team looks like gangbusters. And I'm very looking forward to seeing them play in person later on this season when I go down to Dover. So, yeah, that's going to do it for this edition of the MEAC More. Greatly appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Tomorrow, Thursday, on this very YouTube channel, the Better Than Less Than podcast with my colleague Jared Hoffman. He is going to preview the CIAA championship game, the SIAC championship game. He's probably going to have some thoughts on that whole Kentucky State, Delta State foolishness. Very much looking forward to hearing Jared's thoughts on that. So you guys can tune into this channel and check him out. And then Friday, either myself and Ken Rashad will do an HBCU Sports Live, talking about the SWAC schedule and the MEAC and different things of that nature. Probably do more so the SWAC stuff because I talked to MEAC already. So we'll probably be SWAC heavy, or we may do a live stream of the watch party of Central and South Carolina State. You never know. So yes, tune into this channel. Also, be sure to follow us on all manners of social media. We are on the Musty app. We're on TikTok. We're on Threads, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky. Search for HBCU Sports. If you want to donate, we do have Cash App. Be sure to put the $ HBCU Sports. Or if you want to do the Zelle app, Zelle, type in donate at hbcusports.com. Drop your money there. Or you can go directly to the website, donate, hbcusports.com/donate. And be sure to subscribe to this channel, become a level 1, level 2 member. And for the neat and tidy sum of $4.99 a month, you can get all the black college news that's fit to print and broadcast. I'd like to give it to you. And I forgot, I got my stuff that I want to promote. I have a music podcast. Let me see if I can pull this up on the screen. It is called On the Groove Line. It is where I talk all things old school R&B, hip hop, jazz fusion, disco, dance music, you name it, I cover it. I'm typing in the link so I can comp you guys that link. And you can, on your screen, on the Groove Line, check out all the music chatter over there from me. And I have a after hours podcast called The Overnight Scenario. That is on my Patreon. You can sign up for that for $1 a month, and you can get that podcast. You can get all of my creative writing stuff. I'm a novelist. I'm working on a Christmas romance. Can't wait to share the details of that with you guys. And you can subscribe to my Patreon by going to this link. So, yeah, I just wanted to, share my stuff with you guys before I check out of here today. So, once again, that's going to do it for this edition of the MEAC More. Don't forget, tomorrow is the Better Than Less Than podcast with Jared Hoffman. Friday is HBCU Sports Live with myself and Kim Rashad and probably Jared as well. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Got some good football coming up this week. Can't wait to talk about it with you guys. So, until the next time we talk, y'all take care of yourselves and each other. We gone.